All right, hello. Good day. It is Ray Eason with the Ancient Tree of Life channel, broadcasting live on various channels right now. All right, and the pre-recorded message will be played after this. So it is June 3rd, 2020 at 3:44 p.m. in the afternoon. And I wanted to do another video. I did a blog post a couple of days ago, and I've been refining it. And then I wanted to do a video and actually pair it with that blog post. So as I was finishing up the blog post last night, I was doing some finalizing some touches on it. My web host went down. So my web host went down for all of my sites, the Ancient Tree of Life, the RayEason.com, my Ray Eason gaming channel, because I do some gaming. So all of my sites are down right now, you guys. They'll probably be up afterwards, but if you want to check, ancienttreeoflife.com, RayEason.com, and also RayEasonGaming.com if you're interested in gaming. Okay, so the title of the blog post, I really didn't get around to finishing it, but I'm going to call it, I guess, Gemini, right? Because that's essentially the time frame that we're in, and that's kind of where the blog, that's what the blog post is kind of about, but I kind of want to get around to that. But on a sub level, it's actually about a prayer to Aset, or a sort of meditation, a prayer meditation, which is what I originally called the blog post, right? The blog piece, a prayer meditation, right? But that's very, very bland and blind. It didn't really mean anything. But the prayer meditation actually gave me a sort of confirmation at the end, which was conducive with this particular time frame, and I'll show you guys that as well. So I actually had this all like sort of up on the blog post, and I was going to use it in points, but of course they took down my website, and so I cannot do that right now. So that's what happens when you say things that people don't like. It's all fun and games when it's something that's people feel it's entertainment based, or when there's not a lot of controversy going on. But the minute you get too real, you get too serious, you touch on too many things, then your crap gets shut down, right? So we're going to call this a prayer meditation, but it's also called a magical prayer to Aset, and this is going to unveil and reveal some other things. And when I say a prayer to Aset, Aset being the ancient Kemetic goddess or mother of life, right? Which is akin to the Greek version, which would have been Isis, right? Or if you're referring to the Sumerian or Babylonian, ancient Babylonian pantheon, would have been Inanna in Sumer, in ancient Sumer, or in Babylon would have been Inanna Ishtar, right? So this is a magical prayer to Aset, right? Because we're going through all this crazy stuff. There's all this stuff going on. We don't know what's going on. We don't know who's doing what. We don't know if it's this or that, or we have no idea. Some of us feel like we do know what's going on, but then it's actually not that, and it's something else. And there's a lot of mystery and illusion going on. And right before all of this, if you remember in my last video called Utopia, I actually touched bases on a dream that I had right before this whole calamity happened. And in the dream, the goddess Aset came down and kind of let us know that she was there. So yesterday I had to take a break from all this, right? I was so flustered by everything that's going on in the news, everything that's going on in the media, everything that's going on in social media, all this stuff that's going on, right? And my head was hurting in the front, my back of my head was hurting, my heart was hurting, my eyes were swelling up with tears over everything that was happening. And I just had to take a break. I had to take a back seat. I had to get away from everything. And I'm sure a lot of you kind of may be feeling that way, right? Where just it seems like hell is here, and it seems like the end of the world is here. But we have to have faith, and we have to believe, and we have to persevere and push forward. We have to, because that is how that energy, that is how that great energy that saves, that gives grace, that is how it is able to touch reality, right? By us being there, by us having faith, by us doing the right thing, right? One of the things that I remember seeing a portrait of from the ancient Babylons was that they had Inanna Ishtar, or it might even have been Sumerian, but it shows Inanna with her wings, and she's standing on the backs of two lions, right? And I remember looking at that and thinking, well, I'm a Leo. So that lion must represent strength, right? And if she's the goddess and she's standing on the backs of two lions facing in opposite directions, it must mean she needs the ferocity and the brave portion of that energy in order to stand, in order to be, in order to live, in order to exist, right? And so I love that particular picture or that depiction of her, is that the goddess of love. Love needs to stand on strength in order to survive, in order to exist, right? And so that's why I'm a devout follower of the great goddess, no matter what you call her. But I do use the ancient Kemetic Egyptian or the ancient African pantheon in order to facilitate the work that I do, right? And I choose the ancient Kemetic or the ancient Egyptian because it resonates with me a bit more, right? So when I say ancient African, that's really what I mean is ancient Kemetic, ancient Kemetic Egyptian or ancient Egyptian, right? So once again, like I said, this is Ray Eason. I'm changing my name from Ray Ia because that's a little bit more Ray being ancient Egyptian, or my actual name Ray. My last name Eason, Ea or Ia being from the Babylonian or from the Sumerian god of water Ea, and I'm looking at going with something a little bit more ancient Kemetic, more ancient Egyptian, because I want to make a dedication. I need to make a change on the outside, kind of like a baptism. I need to make a change on the outside, and that outside has to be done on the inside. So a part of that is me using a name that resonates a bit deeper and something that people can identify with. And I've actually come up with a name, and I'll reveal it here at the end because I kind of want to get your feedback on it, right? So, like I said, this particular blog post or this video, the blog post that I made, which is on the website, that got shut down because somebody decided to shut down my website. I don't know who, I don't know why. I don't know if I got turned in, I don't know, I have no idea what happened. But my website got shut down. The blog post was called Prayer Meditation, because I actually did a prayer meditation using this particular magical prayer to Aset that I've used for years, which works really well for me, and I think it'll work really well for you. I've shared it with some other people, and they've really loved it. So so basically, let's touch bases. Let's talk about the spiritual world, right? The spiritual world. We've been in the mundane physical world. We live in this world, this tangible world, where physicality is, right? This is the world we live in. This is the world where all this stuff is going on, right? But a lot of this stuff manifests or comes from the other side, right? So your feelings kind of reside on the other side. Your thoughts reside on the other side. The spirit, right? That the energy, the soul, the ka lives on the other side, right? And on that side it lives, and then it manifests through actions into physicality on this side, right? So the spiritual world is where everything comes from, right? It's where everything sort of starts from, right? So we're going to start there. So in order to contend with what's going on, I decided yesterday, and over the last couple of days, I've talked to a few people that are close in my life, and I decided there's got to be something that we can do, right? If we really believe in this energy that we use, and we really believe in this lifestyle, right, then there's something that we can do, and we have to have belief. And even I recognized and realized this yesterday after I was just so distraught that I was like, it's over with. It's over with. The whole thing, everything is just over with, right? And afterwards I was just like, but if you really believe, if all this stuff you've been doing and all these synchronicities and all these people that have come around you, that have given you answers, the dreams that you've had, the precursors, the warnings that you've gotten through dreams, if all that was for nothing, if you don't believe, what the hell was it for? And then I had to stop and think. I'm just as harsh with myself as I am with anybody else, right? I'm probably even more harsher at times with myself than I am with other people, depending on who you talk to, right? So I was asking myself, if you really believe, then how can you give up? How can you give up on you? How can you give up on these other people, right? How can you do this? How can you lead them so far and then just decide that you're just going to give up? That your heart's broken so much that you just can't keep going on. And that's what I just thought. I was like, there's got to be something that I can do, right? And then I realized all this information, all this work, all this stuff that I've come over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I was working on setting up an ancient school, an ancient mystery school, an ancient sort of an order of things, right, to teach people. But then this hadn't happened, so in the end, I was just like, is it really all that important? Is it really all that serious, Ray? Do you really need to do all this? And then, bam, this happened, and I'm thinking, you second-guessed yourself. You did. You really did. You second-guessed yourself. You didn't think about it completely. You gave in to doubt. You gave in to uncertainty. And looking back, I'm like, well, if I did give up on doubt and uncertainty, then maybe I am giving up on it now. Maybe I do have doubt and uncertainty, right? And that's when I decided there's got to be something that we can do. And then that's when I was like, okay, Ray needs to meditate. Ray needs to do the great prayers. Ray needs to go back to the ground floor, base zero, and start all over again, right? Everything that I started learning years ago, I need to start all over and revisit it with a fresh new life. And that's what this is. That's what this is about. So in this video, what I'm going to go over with you guys is essentially how I get started with my meditation. What prayers I use, right? Which prayers I use to get started, right? I had a buddy of mine, a bro, who's just like, I told him I was going to do this, and usually he'd have been like, oh, okay, cool. But he's just like, really? He's like, okay, let me know when you have that up. And I'm just like, wow, seriously? Okay, I guess, because we're in different times. It's a totally different situation. It's a totally different time frame. It's different when there's real stuff going on. And you really need those tools in order to get through it. And you need that added tool for adding to what it is you're already doing, right? And that's what I'm hoping that this is. So what I did was, probably like a week or so ago, I was a little bit sad, a little bit depressed. So then I wasn't eating as much, right? And particularly when I don't eat as much, I realized afterwards, this is a great time to start a little bit of a fast, right? Just a little bit of one, not a major one, right? It's a great time to do a little bit of a fast, and when you do a little bit of a fast, it's easier to slip into those meditations, right? Those really good meditations where you don't have as much food here, you don't have as much here, so then your brain here is being used a little bit more, right? If you've ever fasted and meditated, you'll know exactly what I mean. But if you've never fasted before, then you kind of won't understand. You'll be like, what do you mean? But just try it. Try being hungry for like maybe a few hours, maybe half the day, eating just enough to not be totally hungry. And then the next day, let the next day go by. And if you can't do it the third day, just eat enough, right? Just not overly. And then start to do your meditations. You'll be a little bit lightheaded, but your meditations will be awesome. Your prayers will be significantly better, right? Okay. So like I said, back in the spiritual world, we're going to start with this this prayer to Aset, which I call the prayer of Aset, right? Or the prayer of Isis, which I prefer the ancient Kemetic name, Aset, right? And how I found this was I was on the internet probably a couple of years ago, and I was looking, probably a few years ago, like 3, 4, 5 years ago or so. I was looking for a prayer that resonated with the particular energy that I was working with, the particular framework that I was working with, right? I've been reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean. I've been hearing about Kheperu, which is the son of Aset, or the Sa Aset, right? Because Sa Aset means son of Aset. So if I say Amun Her Sa Aset, Amun Her Sa Aset, that means Amun Her, or Heru, Amun, which is the god of the hidden, Amun Her Sa Aset. So Amun, or the god Amun, or Amen, Her, meaning Heru, and son of Aset. And that's essentially the name that I'm going to adopt for myself, is Amun Her Sa Aset, right? So I was looking for something along that line of Aset and Kheperu and that particular energy. And I came across something that was really good, right? So for the first time, I'm actually going to do this live for you guys, right? I'm going to recite it live, right? So it's called the prayer to Aset. So what I do is there's some precursors to this that I'm not going to get into. If you guys are interested in a lot of these exercises and how to actually do it, there's going to be a second portion of this that I'm going to create. This particular channel is going to be about, I don't want to call it vague and I don't want to call it general, but it's going to be about information that is kind of the doorway, right? This is where you come to fill things out, to sort of see, to hear about certain things and see if it's something that you want to take the next step or the next level to, right? And that's what this particular Ancient Tree of Life channel is about. The next level will be more utopian based, and right, and it'll be more about utopia and the idea of utopia, and more so phase one or phase two of utopia. Phase one was just getting it out there, right? Me coming up with the name of Utopia, which was United Together People in America, right? So the prayer to Aset is the first one. So what I call this is, let me start over. I know I'm speeding ahead, right? So in this particular spiritual framework, there are 5 things that I usually do, right? And this is called what I like to call the Flower of Life ritual, right? Or the Flower of Life ritual, or the lotus flower, right? And you can pick whichever one you like. I kind of like lotus flower. I kind of like the flower of life, right? And so the lotus flower, the reason I call it that is because the flower of life, or the lotus flower, which is sort of interconnected, it goes from being closed. It's a flower that's closed when the sun is not out, and when the sun is out, it opens up, right? And then when the sun is gone, as it starts to go away, the flower closes. So this is about an opening up of the inside, and then a closing, an opening and a closing, right? And so the 5 items that are in the flower of life, or the lotus flower ritual or prayer, are: 1, the prayer to Aset, right? Number 1. 2 is the Kheperu Mantra, right? For Kheperu, which is the ancient Kemetic energy or god of transformation. Kheperu, right? Kheperu or Khepra, right? However you want to pronounce it. Second is called the touch of Khonsu, right? And Khonsu was he was the counterpart to Thoth, right? So Thoth was a portion of the moon, and understanding time and wisdom and of the cycles of the moon. And Khonsu was more of a god of time, and also when it was dark, not when the moon was full, but more so when it was dark, right? So it was sort of different energies, sort of parallel energies, right? So we have the prayer to Aset, we have the Kheperu Mantra, we have the touch of Khonsu, we have the spirit of light, or the spirit of life mantra or prayer, and then we also have the master of darkness, right? And I actually think I'm going to flip those around and have the master of darkness and the spirit of light, because you start with the darkness and then you go to the light, right? The first 2 are Kemetic based, right? Ancient Kemetic based. The last 2 are Atlantean based. And the reason I go with the Atlantean energy and I pair it with the ancient Kemetic energy is because it is believed that when before Kemet, or ancient Kemetic Egypt, was the great empire that it is now, Atlantis was the dominating or dominant empire at that time, and they were a land of priests and priestesses, and these people who understood these things that the ancient Kemetic Egyptians actually learned after Atlantis fell. And it's believed that Thoth, or his priests and priestesses of the sun, right, of this knowledge or wisdom, when Atlantis fell, they went to Kemet and they taught these things to the hairy barbs, as it says in the Emerald Tablets, the ancient Egyptians, or ancient Kemetic Egyptians that we know, right, from the modern from modern day. So once again, the flower of life, or the lotus flower ritual, includes ritual and prayer includes the prayer to Aset, the Khonsu, the Kheperu Mantra, the touch of Khonsu, master of darkness, and the spirit of light, right? So the prayer to Aset kind of goes, and what you do is you kind of breathe, you get your breath going, you breathe in through the nose, you breathe out through the mouth, or you can breathe out through the nose. You breathe in, you breathe out, you can breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out. You can do it a little bit slower, but more so it's meant to get your mind away from the mundane, and get it on a different level, or way of thinking, right? So then what you do is you start, and sometimes I'm going to try to do this, but I'm going to try to not forget some of the words, because when I'm in that phase, or in that state, I can totally remember everything about these prayers. And then when I'm trying to recite it and try to explain to somebody, I'm just like, I can't remember. It's like I'm two different people, right? Which is, you'll understand after you get into this stuff. But because you kind of are two different people. You're your spiritual light body side, and then you're also your mundane side. And you're doing these things as your mundane physical body side in order to um, uh, bring forth that other lighter or light body side, right? So the prayer of Aset goes like this. So I reach my hands up and then I say, let me do it 3 times. So, and then you say, Hail to the Aset, great mother of magic. My heart is of my mother, Aset. Aset, awaken within my heart. Open the star chamber and guide my transformation into Heru. And that's essentially it, right? And then you kind of, that's the beginning or the precursor to this particular ritual or beginning, right? It's one of the 5. So the prayer to Aset actually begins with this whole identification or this acknowledgement of Aset, right? And then from there, I kind of go into the Kheperu Mantra, right? And the Kheperu Mantra is where, and I'm not going to get into that in this particular video. If you guys are interested in this particular energy, you're going to have to subscribe or request some other information in order to get access to this stuff, right? So the Kheperu Mantra is more so about how you go from transferring yourself from after you've done the prayer to Aset, you're actually looking to use that scarab beetle energy because Kheperu or the Kheper energy is about the transformation side, right? And it's identified with the scarab beetle, right? And the scarab beetle was known for its transformative properties, right? So what you're doing is there's a particular a mantra or chant that goes along with this particular mantra, and it puts your mindset into a mindset of yesterday or of the beginning times, and it's actually linked to a time frame in ancient Kemet called the Septepi, right, which means the beginning times. So this particular one I'll share with you guys because it's pretty short, and it kind of pairs well with the prayer to Aset, right? So if I can remember it without actually forgetting it. So what I like to do, I start my hands like, so because it's called the flower of life or the lotus flower, I like to start at the bottom and then I'll work my way here. I'll do like 3 stages, like at the bottom, I'll put my hands down at the bottom and then I'll bring them up here to my sides. And then the other 2, I will lift up, at the end, I'll lift it up towards the air, right? As if I'm like a flower opening up, right? So what I'll do is, let's see if I can remember without actually forgetting, right? So then I put my hands at my sides towards the lower side of me, and it begins. It goes. See if I can remember. It goes. Kheperai, Kheper, Kheperu, Kheperu, Im Kheperu, Im Kheper, Kheperu, Im Septepi. Now, in order for you to really know what that means, it has to be translated. And what it translates into, in the beginning, I have become. And then it translates a little bit more into, I have become essentially what I was becoming in the beginning, in the first time when the gods walked the earth, right? So once again, we'll do it 2 more times, right? Because I did it down at the bottom. So I'll do it, the lotus flower here, right? The second time or the second level, right? So it goes. Let's see if I remember it again, right? I can only do this when I'm doing it fluidically. It's weird. Oh, here it is. Okay. Kheperai, Kheper, Kheperu, Kheperu, Im Kheperu, Im Kheper, Kheperu, Im Septepi. And then you raise your hands up to the top again, up to the very top, right? And then you look upwards, and you say it again. Kheperai, Kheper, Kheperu, Kheperu im Kheperu Kheperu im Septepi. Once again, there's that number 3 every time. You want to reiterate, except for the prayer to Aset, you want to reiterate a lot of these things at least 3 times, right? Because that 3 times, the first time you say it sets the stage. The second time you say it reiterates it, and that third time is more that divine trine, right? The divine trinity, and that 3 resonates through you, through the external and into the upper airs, and it brings it into being and into brings it a little more closer into place and into space a bit more, right? So that's the Kheperu Mantra, right? The Kheperu Mantra, right? The third one is the touch of Khonsu, right? And I'm not going to get into that one because that one's a little bit more, it's not more difficult, but it's more special. And some of these, unless you've actually sort of began the walk, began the path work, it's just not really something that is apple to you. Or if you try to do it without the right framework, it could, without the right framework or the right dedication, right? Dedication to yourself, dedication to a cause, dedication to the energies. It could really get inside of you and start messing with you, right? Because then either A, you think you have power, right? You start doing these things. You start chanting this stuff. You start saying it in a different tongue, right? You start thinking, your ego will start to get a hold of it, right? It'll start to make you think you're more than you actually are before you actually know who you are, right? So the touch of Khonsu, I'm really not going to get into right now. I'm going to leave that one out. But if you're interested, go ahead and comment below or go ahead and contact me. We'll talk a little bit more about it, right? The fourth is called the Spirit of Light. And this is where we get into the Atlantean systems, right? The lore and the energy and the magic and the science, the meta science that came along with the Atlanteans, who were believed to be the precursors to the ancient Kemetic Egyptians, right? So the Spirit of Light, it is it's a prayer or a mantra that actually lifts you from your base lower state upwards towards what is high, what is most high, right? Number 5 is the Master of Darkness, and that one should actually be number 4. They should be swapped. Master of Darkness is where you're lifting your base darker self, your base ignorant self, your base unveiled or unrevealed self, and you're lifting it upwards into the light, right? And that's really what it's about. So one's about base darkness and lifting yourself up into the light, and the other one's about being lifted into the light a little bit more, right? So I will touch on the Spirit of Light for you guys a little bit more. The Master of Darkness one I won't get into simply because I think that one and the Kheperu Mantra need to be shown or taught on a different level, right? So the Spirit of Light, once again, you can do these. The Spirit of Light doesn't need to be done 3 times. It can just be done once. You lift your hands up to the air, you reach your hands upwards, right? Upwards into the airs, and then you speak the words. And I'm going to try to remember doing this without actually not being in my usual meditative mindset. So let's see if I can remember it. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it's see, I totally just freaking spaced it. And I don't have my Emerald Tablet book around me right now. It's not there. I can't do it right now. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. All right. So it goes, Hail to the mighty Spirit of life. I lost it. I don't have it. It's not there. I can't remember it, guys. It's not there. It's gone. So the Spirit of Light and the Master of Darkness one, we'll have to talk about later because I can't really remember it right now. But those are, like I said, those are the 5 things that we do when we're looking to raise our energy, when we're looking to change our mindset, when we're looking to go from this physical iteration to this esoteric iteration. And the way to do that is through vibrational change, is through subtle body change. And I just really wish I could remember Mighty Spirit of Light. Mighty Spirit of Light. I can't remember it. I have it somewhere on my computer, but I can't remember it right now. Anyways, okay, so I'm going to go through a little bit more of... I'm trying to remember... It's gone. I can't, and with the camera rolling, I just can't remember it right now. I'm so sorry, you guys. If I had my book here, I don't know where it is. Okay, so so another part of the meditative process, or this prayer meditation, involves the ego and the mind. So as you're doing your meditation, as you're sitting there and you're meditating, after you've done these 5 particular prayers or mantras, then you go into this meditation state. So you sit down, you start to breathe. You do your deep breathing, and it's all about the breathing. In deep through the nose, out through the nose. In deep through the nose, out through the nose. In, out. And as you do this, you're constantly breathing in deeply, out deeply. In deeply, out deeply. In deeply, out deeply. And as you're doing this, you're focusing on your breath. Now what's going to happen is your mind is going to start to do this fluctuating thing. You're going to feel like you're getting into this meditative state, but then another part of you is going to bring you back to this physicality, this physical world, right? So you're going to have this battle between you trying to meditate and then something getting your attention. You trying to meditate and then something getting your attention. And you're going to have this battle between your mind and your ego, right? And so what I like to do when that happens is, because I'll start to notice as I'm breathing or deep breathing or meditating, I'll start to notice that my mind is fluctuating and something's trying to get my attention. My mind, or your mind, is not wanting to leave. Your ego, your ego is not wanting to detach from this particular physicality, this physical world. And so what you have to do is you have to trick it, right? So in your head, when you're doing this breathing, eventually, if it's dark enough, right, in your home or in your room, when it's dark enough, you will actually start to see, in the darkness, when your eyes are closed, you'll start to see these specks of light, these specks of like little dots or little white things, little lighter things in the darkness, right? If it's totally dark in your room, right, or wherever you're doing your meditation. And so as you're doing your breathing, when your mind and when your ego is trying to get your attention and trying to derail you and distract you from your meditation, focus on those little white dots, see them, and then breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out, and focus and see the little white dots, right? And eventually what will happen, more little white dots will start to form, right? And as you're breathing more and more, you'll eventually start to see that these lights are moving, right? They'll start to move from where they're at closer to you. And you'll start to see like these little white things that are kind of just moving, right? And that's what you focus on. That's how you trick yourself, or your mind, or more so your ego, into letting go of this physicality and embracing that meditational state, that meditative state that you're trying to get into, right? Focus on those little white dots, right? And even though they'll tell you when you're doing meditation, try not to see anything, try not to focus. The thing is, you shouldn't try. If you have to try, you're giving too much energy to trying, and that's where all your energy is going. It's where your whole complete focus is going, is into trying. Don't try, be. That's what it's all about. It's what all this is all about. It's about being in a state. That's what human being means. It means to be, right? To be in the being state, to be, to all this work that you're doing, all the prayers, all the mantras, the anointing, the meditation, is to bring your vibrational self into a level of being to where you don't have to try, you just are. And the trick is you have to do it repetitively. You have to keep doing it. Because if you don't keep doing it, then you don't build up that muscle reflex, right? You don't build up that response, that automatic response. It's kind of like if somebody comes up to you and they try to hit you, if you've been practicing enough, you'll block, right? If someone comes up to you and starts talking smack, you just automatically respond. Someone throws an apple at you, you automatically catch it, right? You're trying to teach yourself to automatically be instead of thinking about it, and that's the trick. So when you're doing this meditation, you want to focus on the lights, right? The little speckles of light that are there in the darkness while your eyes are closed, right? And like I said, after you start to breathe with those lights, breathe and keep breathing and focus on your breathing. Put your mind on the breathing, but see the lights. You do those two things, the ego's gone. It's almost like that person you're trying to forget, and you're just like, I don't even know your name. You don't even have a name. You're not even here, right? And so you're focusing on your breathing, and then you're focusing on the seeing. And then what will happen is you'll start, like I said, seeing these lights, and they'll just start kind of going forward and past you. And I like to call this being starbound, right? Because if you can actually imagine that these are stars, right? That the light are stars, and that the darkness is the universe. It's almost like now you are in the universe, right? Like you are in outer space, right? And not where there's any suns, bright suns, or any planets, but all these other distant suns, right? And planets that you can't even see because you can only see a planet when the sun is hitting it and reflecting it, right? Okay, so what you want to do is you want to focus on seeing those stars, and while you're in that darkness, as they're moving towards you, it's almost like you're traveling through space, right? And these lights will start to move faster and faster, so it's almost like you're going at light speed, right? And I liked it, like I said, I call that starbound, because as you start to focus on the stars, eventually what will happen is, what I believe is happening is eventually, once these things are all moving, right? Once the lights and the stars are all moving, and the stars or lights are moving towards you, or you're moving forward towards them, I like to call this what I like to call light speed, right? Like you're moving forward through time, light speed wise, and that is where I believe your light body is being activated, and that's what I call this portion, the light body activation. I'm coining a lot of this stuff, you guys. A lot of this information that I am sharing with you, I am giving it my own terminology. I've read some other stuff. I've experienced some stuff. So instead of it being something that was actually practiced, say like in a particular order, let's say like millennia ago, or something that's taught in a particular order nowadays, this is something that I've learned on my own without talking to very many people, reading books, and just being in love with what it is that I do, and going into those states to pull forward information, right? And that's why we're doing this. If you've got a question, a query, you want to know why something is going on in life, you want to know why all this writing is going on, you want to know why this happened in your life, you have to enter a level or a state that is not this. That's not this. You have to go to the higher, because the higher has all the answers, right? So within us is that particular light, that light body, but we have to know how to activate it, right? We have to know how to let go of this and activate the light body and sort of take off, right? So so what you're doing is you're activating that light body. And Thoth talks about this, or they talk about this in the Emerald Tablets. Thoth talks about how we have stardust inside of us, and that's kind of what it means. He talks about traveling to different places, different stars, different solar systems, and essentially activating the light body so that you can take off from here, take off, and then take off, right? So that I like to call the light body activation. And then once you're able to be in that state where you realize you're traveling, right? You're moving. You want to keep breathing. And that is where you can breathe. You don't have to worry about trying to meditate. You don't have to worry about these things coming out and trying to distract you. You don't have to worry about any of that, because you are in this place that you don't want to be any other place. You are experiencing in that moment something that you have never experienced before. Even if you've already done it before, your whole goal, the reason you started with the prayer to Aset, the Kheperu Mantra, the touch of Khonsu, the spirit of life, the master of darkness, the reason why you fought the ego so that the mind could take flight, the reason why you chose to focus on those stars was so that you could get to this level where you're in your light vehicle inside of you, in your mind, traveling through whatever space that it is that you're in, right? So once you're there, you feel comfort, you feel calm, you feel almost that inner peace because you are where you wanted to be, right? And that is where you can stay for however long you want to stay there, right? You can stay there for a minute. You can stay there for 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. You can stay there for an hour, 2. You can stay there for however long you want to. If you need peace, if something is perturbing you, distracting you, making you upset, and you just want to let everything go to that place. Go to your peace. Go to your utopia. That's really what it's about, right? And that is what I call that the breath of life, because then you're able to just breathe in and breathe out. 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 And you stay there. And the more you breathe, don't think about anything. Because what will happen is you may not realize that anything's happening, and nothing may be happening other than you thinking. Nothing may be happening other than you may not even be thinking. You shouldn't be thinking. But during that time frame, you are in a place where answers can come to you. Maybe not right now, because remember, time is subjective, right? It's a perspective. So you may not be getting an answer to something, or getting a revelation, or getting a message right now. But your mind has entered a state where once you come out of it, you are now magnetized. Your energy, your vibration has been raised. And so anybody you talk to afterwards, anything you do, any and everything is on a higher level. You become a mechanism of energy, and like energy is attracted to like energy. Your dreams will become more vivid. You'll start to remember your dreams a little bit more if you use this technique and if you work on it a bit more. Everything will become a little bit more to life, and answers will start coming to you. You'll start having these prophetic dreams, right? You'll start having these thoughts throughout the middle of the day where something will make you think of something. You're like, oh, where did that come from? Don't question it. Just wait for the next coincidence or synchronicity to come to you, right? Hold on, you guys. I need to make sure. All right. So I kind of got to wrap this up, you guys. I am so sorry. I have to do something afterwards. I was actually doing this in the middle of doing something else. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. One of the things I kind of want to get to is that at the end of your meditation, at the end of your prayer meditation, after you've done all this stuff, you should usually do a tarot meditation. And what I do is I have a bowl of water, and then what I'll do is I'll get my deck of cards. I'll show you my tarot cards, right? I have my tarot cards. These are my Aleister Crowley Book of Thoth tarot cards, right? As you can see right there, that's the Aeon card, or it's Thoth in the background, and Horus the Babe, or Kheperu the Babe. Head of the babe there, right, which is the reborn self, the old king and the reborn king, right? And what you want to do is you want to do a prayer meditation, right? Or not a prayer meditation. You want to do a tarot card reading, right? And then what you do is I have my bowl of water right there at my desk that I work at, my altar. And after you've done all this work, that water is a symbol of magnetized energy, right? Water has memory. It has a specialness, which is why it's always been sacred and special in when you're doing this type of work. And then what I do is I dip my finger inside of the water, and I will write on this hand here. I'll take the finger here and I'll put a circle on it, and I'll say, guide my hand. So then as I grab the cards, I lay them down in front of me. I'll put my fingers inside the water, and then I'll say, guide my hand. And then I'll take my other finger and I'll circle my third eye, and I will say, allow my mind to see. And then I'll take my two fingers, which are still wet, and then I will I will run it around the bottom of my mouth, and I will say, allow my mouth to speak the truth. So guide my hand, allow my mind to see, and allow my mouth to speak the truth. You are making these dedications to yourself and also to the energy, right? My phone's about to die, I'm so sorry. And then once you do that, shuffle the cards 3 times. I like to do the number 3. You can do it however many times you feel comfortable with. I cut them into 3 piles, and then I will lay one card out, and that card out is the card that is the manifestation of that reading. And the card that I got, you can see, is the Lover's card. I'm going to show up here too, is the Lover's card. And the Lover's card, if you can tell, this particular card shows a multitude of individuals, right? But if you know tarot cards, you know that the Lover's card represents Gemini, this particular time frame, right? It represents Gemini. Gemini is the masculine, the feminine energy. It's a wind sign, so it represents fluidity of thought. This particular card, because of all this stuff that we're going in, if you notice, it shows black and white individuals in unity. This is a card of alchemy, of spiritual alchemy, of love. When diverse opposites come together in unity as one, and the hooded figure in the background is the highest, or what some people would call the high energy, or the one, the all. It's a symbol of the one or of the all. So this card at the end of my reading gave me confirmation of what was going on around us and what needs to be done. And that is why I'm on this particular video with you guys sharing this. So once again, thanks for watching. My name is Ray Eason, aka Amonher Sa Aset. If you like this video, go ahead and comment below. Also remember to like, share, reach out to me if you'd like more information on the flower of life or the lotus flower, prayer mantras and rituals. And I'm signing out. You guys have a great one. Be safe. We will get through this. There is no way that evil will prevail. There is evil occurring on so many different levels that is coming at us from the left. I would say the left and the right, but it's coming from the left. It's coming all around us, but this is to challenge us. This is so that we tap into our ancient selves, our ancestors, the blood within us, so that we can rise and be great, and so that we can reconnect with our ancient selves and then help bring love, utopia, and unity back to Earth. So thanks for watching, you guys. You have a great day. I will talk to you soon, and be safe. Imhotep. Bye-bye.